The cattle were dying in the white hell, and Levi Dawson knew it. He couldn't see 10 feet through the blizzard that had turned his Montana ranch into a frozen graveyard. 300 head of prime Hereford cattle scattered across 2,000 acres, and the temperature dropping fast. His foreman lay in town with a broken leg. His ranch hands had quit last week over unpaid wages. Levi was alone, watching his fortune disappear into the screaming wind. Then he saw her, a figure on horseback, moving through the storm like a ghost. Impossible. No one could ride in this. The wind would knock a horse sideways, freeze a rider solid. But there she was, driving a dozen of his cattle toward the southern pasture, toward shelter. Levi spurred his horse forward, fighting the wind. "Who are you?" he shouted, but the storm swallowed his words. The woman didn't answer. She wheeled her horse, a massive grey stallion that seemed built for this weather, and disappeared back into the white. Levi followed the cattle she'd gathered, got them into the windbreak near the creek. When he turned around, she was gone again. For 6 hours, it continued. Every time Levi thought he'd lost her, she'd appear with more cattle. She knew his land better than he did, finding animals in gullies and behind rock formations he'd forgotten existed. She moved like water, like wind, like something that understood the storm instead of fighting it. The blizzard broke at sunset, sudden, complete. One moment, white chaos. The next, crystalline silence and a sky turning purple gold. Levi counted his cattle in the southern pasture. 273 head. She'd saved 90% of his herd, saved his ranch, saved his life. He found her in the barn, collapsed against a hay bale. Her lips were blue. Ice crusted her eyelashes. Her horse stood over her, protective, refusing to let Levi approach until he spoke soft words and showed empty hands. He carried her to the house. She weighed nothing. Her clothes were threadbare, patched and repatched. Her boots had holes, but her hands were strong, calloused, the hands of someone who'd worked cattle her whole life. She didn't wake for 2 days. Levi sat by her bedside, watching her breathe. His housekeeper, Mrs. Chen, brought broth and blankets. "She's half-starved," Mrs. Chen said. "Been living rough for months, I'd wager." "Why would she help me?" Levi asked. Mrs. Chen gave him a look that said he was being stupid. "Maybe she's a decent person. You remember those?" He did. Barely. 3 years since his wife died in childbirth, taking their son with her. 3 years of throwing himself into work, into building the biggest ranch, in Montana territory, into proving something to no one in particular. He'd become hard, mean, the kind of man who fired ranch hands for small mistakes, who squeezed every penny until it screamed. The woman stirred. Her eyes opened, grey as her horse, grey as the storm. "Your cattle," she whispered. "Are they safe?" "Because of you." Levi leaned forward. "What's your name?" "Kara." She tried to sit up, winced. "Kara Brennan. I need to go." "You're not going anywhere. You can barely move." "I don't take charity. It's not charity, it's payment." "You saved my herd. Name your price." She laughed, bitter. "I don't want money." "Then, what do you want?" Kara looked at him for a long moment. "A job. 3 months. Room and board. That's all." Levi should have said no, should have paid her cash and sent her on her way. But something in her eyes, pride, pain, determination, made him nod. "You've got it." Before we continue with Kara's story, I want to know, have you ever met someone who changed your life in a single day? Drop a comment below. And if you're enjoying this tale of survival and second chances, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the Old West every week. She healed fast. Too fast. Within a week, she was working cattle like she'd been born to it. The few ranch hands Levi had left watched her with suspicion at first, then respect, then something like awe. She could rope a steer at full gallop, break a green horse in an afternoon, read weather in the clouds and find water where the land looked bone dry. She worked from dawn until dark, never complaining, never slowing. Where'd you learn to ride like that? Levi asked one evening as they mended fence. My father. He had a ranch in Wyoming. Taught me everything. Had. Her jaw tightened. Lost it. 2 years ago. How? The usual way. Bad winter. Cattle died. Bank called the loan. She hammered a post with unnecessary force. He died 6 months later. Broken heart, the doctor said. I call it giving up. And you've been drifting since? Working where I can. Moving on when I can't. She met his eyes. I don't stay anywhere long, Mr. Dawson. Don't get comfortable with me being here. But he was already comfortable. That was the problem. Spring turned to summer. The ranch came back to life. Calves were born. Grass grew thick. Levi hired back his ranch hands, paid them fair wages this time. The operation ran smooth as clockwork, and Kara was the reason. She never talked about herself, never joined the hands for cards or whiskey. Every evening she'd ride out alone on that grey stallion, disappearing into the hills for an hour before returning silent. She's running from something, Mrs. Chen said. Or someone. It's not our business, Levi replied. You're falling for her. That makes it your business. He wanted to deny it. Couldn't. Somewhere between the blizzard and the branding, between the fence, mending and the cattle drives, Kara Brennan had become essential, not just to the ranch, to him. He found her one evening by the creek, watching the sunset. Her horse grazed nearby. Your 3 months are almost up, Levi said. I know. Stay. She didn't look at him. I can't. Why not? Because I don't deserve this. Any of this. Her voice cracked. You don't know what I did. Then tell me. The story came out in pieces, painful and slow. Her father's ranch. The debt. A man named Garrett Sloan, who'd offered to buy them out for pennies on the dollar. Her father's refusal. The fire that destroyed their barn, killed half their herd. No proof it was arson, but everyone knew. I went to Sloan's ranch, Kara said. Middle of the night. I was going to burn his barn. Even the score. She closed her eyes. But there were horses inside. I heard them screaming. I couldn't do it. I let them out instead, and Sloan's men caught me. They beat me. Left me for dead in a ditch. How'd you survive? Crawled to the road. A traveling preacher found me, took me to a doctor. By the time I healed, my father was dead, and the bank had taken everything. She finally looked at Levi. I'm a coward. I couldn't even get revenge right. You're not a coward. You're decent. There's a difference. Decency doesn't pay debts, doesn't bring back the dead. Levi sat beside her. I lost my wife and son 3 years ago. Childbirth. I wasn't even there. I was in town, buying cattle, building my empire. When I got home, they were both gone. He picked up a stone, threw it into the creek. I told myself if I worked hard enough, made enough money, built something big enough, the pain would stop. It didn't. It just made me mean. You're not mean. I was. Until you showed up in that storm and reminded me what matters. He turned to her. Stay, Kara. Not as a ranch hand. As a partner. Help me build something real. She shook her head. Sloan's men are looking for me. They'll find me eventually. I won't bring that trouble to your door. Let them come. We'll face it together. You don't understand. Sloan's rich. Connected. He owns half of Wyoming, including the sheriff. This is Montana. He's got no power here. Men like him have power everywhere. Quick question while Kara decides her fate. Do you think she should stay and fight, or keep running to protect Levi? Comment your answer below. I'm reading every single one. She stayed, not because she believed they'd be safe, because she was tired of running, tired of being alone, tired of letting fear make her decisions. They worked the ranch together through summer and into fall. Levi taught her the business side, books, contracts, negotiations. She taught him to see the land the way she did, as something alive that needed respect, not just exploitation. The ranch hands started calling them the boss and the boss lady. Neither corrected them. In September, Levi rode to town and came back with papers. I had my lawyer draw these up. 50-50 partnership. Your name on the deed. Equal say in everything. Kara stared at the documents. Why? Because you've earned it. Because this place runs better with you here. Because... He stopped, started again. Because I love you, and I want you to stay forever. But I know you need more than words. You need security. Proof. This is proof. She signed the papers with shaking hands. That night, for the first time since the blizzard, she slept without nightmares. Garrett Sloan arrived in October. 3 men with him, all wearing guns. They rode up to the ranch house like they owned it, and Sloan dismounted, with the casual arrogance of someone who'd never been told no. He was handsome in a cold way. Expensive suit, manicured hands, eyes like chips of ice. "Kara Brennan," he said, "you're a hard woman to find." Levi stepped between them. "State your business or get off my land." Sloan smiled. "Your land? Interesting. Because I have a warrant here for Miss Brennan's arrest. Horse theft, arson, attempted murder." "That's a lie," Kara said. "Is it? My men will testify otherwise. The sheriff in Cheyenne has already signed the warrant. All I need to do is take you back to Wyoming for trial." He tilted his head. "Of course, we could settle this another way. You sign over any claim to your father's land. Yes, I know you've been contesting the bank sale, and I'll forget the warrant exists. There's nothing to sign over. The bank took everything, not the mineral rights. Your father was smart enough to keep those separate. Turns out there's silver on that land. Quite a lot of it." Sloan's smile widened. "So, sign or hang." "Your choice." Levi's hand moved toward his rifle. Sloan's men drew faster. "Don't," Kara said quietly. "It's not worth dying over." "She's right," Sloan said. "Be smart, Dawson. This doesn't concern you. Everything concerning her concerns me. She's my partner, 50-50 owner of this ranch." Sloan's smile faltered. "Partner, legal and binding. Recorded with the territorial government last week." Levi pulled out his own papers. "Which means if you take her, you're taking a Montana landowner. That warrant from Wyoming doesn't mean spit here. You want her, you'll need a Montana judge to sign off. Good luck with that." The silence stretched. Sloan's men shifted nervously. They were hired guns, not killers. Not when the law might actually care. "This isn't over," Sloan said finally. "Yes, it is." Kara stepped forward. "I'll sign over the mineral rights. Not because you're forcing me, because I don't want them. I don't want anything that connects me to you or what you did to my father." "Kara," Levi started. "It's blood money. I won't touch it." She looked at Sloan. "Draw up the papers. I'll sign. Then you leave and never come back." Sloan studied her. "You've changed. You used to have fire. I still have fire. I just learned to control it." The papers were signed in town, witnessed by Levi's lawyer and the territorial marshal. Sloan left Montana that afternoon, and Kara watched him go with dry eyes. "You gave up a fortune," Levi said. "I gave up a chain. There's a difference." She took his hand. "I've got everything I need right here." They married in November, a small ceremony with the ranch hands and Mrs. Chen as witnesses. No fancy dress, no big celebration, just 2 people who'd found each other in a storm and decided to weather the rest together. By the following spring, they doubled the herd. Kara's instincts and Levi's business sense made them formidable. Other ranchers came to them for advice. The Dawson Ranch became known throughout Montana Territory as the place to buy quality cattle and learn quality methods. They built a new barn, bigger than the old one, hired more hands, paid them well, treated them fair. Mrs. Chen retired to a cottage on the property, spending her days baking and spoiling the ranch dogs. On the anniversary of the blizzard, Levi and Kara rode out to the southern pasture where she'd saved his cattle. The grass was green. The sky was clear. The herd grazed peacefully. "I used to think I needed to build an empire," Levi said. "Turns out I just needed a partner." "I used to think I needed revenge," Kara replied. "Turns out I just needed a home." They sat on their horses, watching the sunset paint the mountains gold and purple. Somewhere in the distance, a calf bawled for its mother. A hawk circled overhead. The wind carried the smell of sage and grass and possibility. "Think we'll have a quiet winter this year?" Levi asked. Kara smiled. "Not a chance. I'm pregnant." He stared at her. "What?" 3 months. I wanted to be sure before I told you." She laughed at his expression. "You're going to be a father, Levi Dawson." Again, he pulled her close, careful, reverent. "Are you scared?" "Terrified." "But I'm not running." She kissed him. Not ever again. Their daughter was born in January, during a gentle snowfall. They named her Grace, for the grace that had brought them together. She had her mother's grey eyes and her father's stubborn chin. The ranch prospered. The family grew. 2 more children over the next 5 years, a boy and another girl. Kara taught them all to ride, to read the weather, to respect the land and the animals. Levi taught them numbers and negotiation, and the importance of keeping your word. On summer evenings, they'd sit on the porch and watch the children play in the yard. The grey stallion, old now but still proud, would graze nearby. The cattle would low in the distance. The mountains would stand eternal against the sky. "Do you ever regret it?" Levi asked once. "Giving up those mineral rights? You could have been rich." Kara looked at their children, at the ranch they'd built, at the life they'd made. "I am rich," she said. "I just didn't know it until I stopped running long enough to see it." And in the quiet of that Montana evening, with the sun setting fire to the clouds and the wind, carrying the promise of tomorrow, Levi Dawson understood that miracles weren't always dramatic. Sometimes they came in the form of a stranger in a storm. Sometimes they came in the form of second chances. Sometimes they came in the simple, profound act of choosing to stay. Kara had saved his cattle that day, but in the end, she'd saved something far more valuable. She'd saved him. And that's the story of how a blizzard brought 2 broken people together and gave them both a second chance at life and love. What did you think? Have you ever had a moment that changed everything? Share your story in the comments. I love hearing from you. And if this tale touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories from the Old West. New tales every week. Until next time, may you find your own miracle in the storm.